Hello class, welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about principal and agent. It's a special issue of recognizing revenue, and specifically, we're going to use a couple of very interesting cases, real-life cases, to illustrate this issue. Let's look at Priceline. I guess most of you are very familiar with Priceline. But there is a very interesting feature of Priceline's unique feature. It's called Name Your Own Price. And in this Name Your Own Price, customer will make offers to some travel services, for example, hotels, flights, at the price the customer set. And then if Priceline.com agrees with customer set price, they will sell you the certain hotel or flight ticket. So basically, the mode or the process that I simplified it is the following. So first, the customer submits a bid to Priceline.com. For example, they want to buy a round trip ticket for $450. And then after receiving this bid, the Priceline will start to search all the possible tickets in their pool, and they found a ticket for $100. So of course, Priceline will purchase this ticket for $100, and then they're gonna transfer the ticket to the customers. Now, after transferring, they are gonna charge the customer for $450. So in that sense, Priceline will earn $350 in this deal. Now, then, there are two possible presentations of the accounting or accounting treatments, we say. Number one is that we view this $450 as revenues, and then we pay $100 for the ticket that Priceline purchased. So the COGS is $100. Then we have a net income, which is $450 minus $100. Now, the next accounting treatment is also possible. That is, we are just the middleman to search a price and, like an agent. So we earn the price difference, which is $350, and there's no expenses. So my net income is revenue $350 minus zero COGS, that is $350. Now, these two accounting treatments both are reasonable. And actually, for the first one, it is very similar to the traditional mode of selling. That is like staples, if you may say. You purchase your inventory, and then you sell it to your customers. So you have a customer paid price as your revenue, and the inventory COGS as your expense. Now, the second one, this net one, is very middleman type, right? So think about the old travel agents. Not sure whether you are old enough to live these ages. I still remember my first time to travel internationally from China. I went to Denmark, and I literally called a travel agency, asked them to find a ticket for me because I've never purchased international flight ticket before. And I told them, what is I want to find the cheapest ticket, and it's okay that I don't want to have a direct flight. I want to fly for, any of these flexible days. And they told me about the price that, they are willing to send me. I don't know how much they paid to get me the price, but I'm sure they're going to get, the difference of the price as their, commission fee or something. So I call this, the old travel agent one. Or another more straightforward example is the real estate agent, right? They're not gonna treat the $1 million houses in their expense. They just get the commission fee, and that's their revenue. So the first one, stable type, I call this accounting treatment as gross accounting. You see, there is a gross amount and then subtract something, right? And then second one, the old travel agent one, I call it net accounting because the revenue is already a net amount. Now the question is, what should Priceline choose? Is it gross accounting or net accounting? Here is what they disclose. They said for their Name Your Own Price service, they are using gross accounting. all of these are reported on a gross basis. So that means they're going to report a 450 in the revenue, 100 as expense, and then get to the net income. In fact, they only do it for their name your own price service. For all the other service for Priceline, they are using net basis because they think the other services, they are mainly doing the agent part, but for name your own price, it's not agent anymore. Well, so let's first talk about these two accounting treatments, right? The bottom line doesn't change. The net income amount is still the same. It's still 350. So it does not affect by the accounting treatments. I mean, it will never affect by any accounting. However, if you can see directly, gross accounting can show a much higher amount or stream of revenues, the top line, right? And turn out this is quite important for internet companies because you always want a higher revenue, but it's more important for internet companies because these startups, right, small firms, they most likely have a negative net income for the first few years because they are expanding. They always put in a lot of expenses to expand their business. So it's meaningless to talk about net income for them. Instead, we will focus more on revenue, the top line, because revenue represents your customer base, and comparing revenue can show the growth of your customers. Well, the question now for Priceline to choose between gross accounting and net accounting, I know what they want to choose, right? But can they choose like randomly? Well, the key part is the obligation. In this sense, for Priceline, does Priceline have the obligation to refund airfare tickets if the airline company goes bankrupt or cancels the airfare tickets? If, say, Delta cancels the airfare ticket or Delta goes bankrupt, for example, is Priceline gonna be the one that customer goes to seek refund, or is Delta the one that the customers gonna have responsible for the customers? Now, if you are just an agent, you are not gonna take on this responsibility. However, if you own the ticket before you sold to the customer, sort of you first purchased it from Delta, and then now you own it, you are the one who sells the ticket to the customer, then you should be responsible for airlines cancellation, right? That's basically what I said before. So if you are responsible for refunding, you should use gross accounting. In that sense, this is the principle. Well, a lot of companies, traditional companies, will do this gross accounting. Staples, of course, Targets or General Mills. But if Priceline does not bear any responsibility, like an agent, like a middleman, just use net accounting. This is like the typical internet travel agent, the old days. Now, what are the trade-offs between gross accounting and net accounting? Well, of course, we talk about gross accounting, which can show a higher stream of revenues. Well, typically, especially for internet business, investors tend to value the revenues more, right? But there is downside. The downside for gross accounting is that you are showing quite a lot of information. You have the breakdown of revenues and costs. But for net accounting, think about it. All I do is just to report a 350, and then that's it. But for gross, I have a 450, and then I tell you my cost is 100. So if you want to hide some sensitive information, right, because you don't want your competitors to have your cost, to have your gross margin, to know your business, then you should better use net accounting because they can help you to hide sensitive information. Well, of course, you have a downside, which is net accounting doesn't boost the revenues. Well, this is just an illustration. It's easier to go from gross to net, but it's impossible to go from net to gross, right? Now, does all firms do like what Priceline does, that choose gross accounting to boost up the earnings? Not really. Expedia, Priceline's competitor, they are not gonna, they turn out they are using net presentation for all its business. Well, here is just what they say in the revenue recognition section in the 10K. And they told you that the gross will do, you know, and the net, what is it? It's a matter of judgment. And according to Expedia's judgment, these are the factors that they judge, and they decide to use net presentation. Well, they won't tell you that this is about hiding information. Now, Groupon is another very classic example. There's in 2011, Groupon went public. And in this IPO, the SEC found out that they are using gross accounting, although they are clearly an agent. Well, think about if you purchase, say I just purchased an annual membership of Costco from Groupon. And Groupon is not going to have responsible for any of these problems. I should go to Costco directly, right? So clearly, they are an agent. In more formal word, they clearly acknowledge that the merchants, or Costco in this case, is responsible for fulfilling the obligation to deliver goods or services. It's not Groupon. So Groupon is purely an agent. He should use net accounting. However, Groupon has been using gross accounting before they went public. Why is it? Because they want to boost up revenues to have a higher valuation. These 3 years, 2008 to 2010, are the gross accounting presentation for Groupon. And these caught the SEC's attention. And they looked it up, they found out this is not inconsistent with what you said. You say you are not responsible for the obligation, so you are an agent, a middleman. So you should use net accounting. That's why SEC asked Groupon to have a restatement. Now, after the restatement, the red line is the real revenue they report. It is simply the subtraction of revenue and costs from the black line. But you see, in the revenue term, you compare the real revenue to the revenue they stated before, they are way overstating their revenues. Like in 2010, it's more than 150%. But unsurprisingly, right, after this revenue restated from this 713 to 279, the stock price of Groupon just plummeted. Now, most recent case is Uber. Uber went public in 2019, and under their statement, well, in the revenue recognition statement. So think about Groupon. Think about Uber and Groupon. Groupon is clearly an agent, but how about Uber? Well, in their statement, they say that Uber does not have any performance obligations. Everything should be held responsible for the drivers. Customers should seek the drivers directly for services. So they are serving as an agent type, middleman type. That's why they use net accounting. But of course, the main reason behind the Uber choosing net accounting is to hide sensitive information from competitors like Lyft, because Lyft at that time hasn't been public. So that's the main reason. And I hope by this time you have a better idea of the principal type, which is gross accounting, and the agent type, which is net accounting, and the benefit and trade-off between these two treatments. Lastly, this is a review question. You can do it yourself. The answer here is C. All right, that's it for this video. I will see you in the next video where we're gonna go to the final step of the 5 steps of recognizing revenue. I'll see you there.